Good morning, boys and girls, and welcome to another episode of Adventures of the Broke and Retired. I'm your old buddy Don, and I'm here with my sidekick, who's dedicated but not so dependable, my sidekick Elmer the Reckless Remote. Today we're going to talk about the English language and my desire to add another word to it. Adding a word to the language shouldn't be that big of a deal. Words get added to the English language all the time, as I'm sure they get added with most languages. The ability of a language to grow with the population that uses it is very, very important. Otherwise, the language will die off. It'll no longer exist. It'll fade into obscurity. Pull up the word selfie, and you'll see that that was a word that was added fairly recently. Now, I'm going to tell you how recently is a bit hard to say because time passes pretty fast for me in my life right now, and could have been added 20 years ago. It still seemed to me to only be a couple of weeks. It's amazing. It's amazing how fast time passes. I'm going to quote somebody here. I don't know who to credit for the quote because I don't know who said it, but it's a truly profound quote that holds so much truth it hurts. The quote is, "The years between 30 and 60 pass by like the time between breakfast and lunch. To the original offer, whoever you are, I bow and I salute. You deserve credit for that. If you're one of us folks who have reached or passed that 60-year milestone, I think I can probably safely say that you're agreeing with me. Time does pass pretty fast, and that quote is a bit of exceptional armchair philosophy. You may have made the same mistake I did, which would have been to blink sometime during that 30-year period and have it all pass by you without you even knowing it. I'm retired now, and I kneel down every single day and thank God for shining his light on me and arranging things so I was able to retire. I made some poor choices in my life. Maybe I lived a little harder, a little faster than I should have. Best explained by saying rode hard and put up wet. If you look at my hair and my beard today, you can see I look rode hard and put up wet. I didn't have a whole lot of drive or personal incentive to plan or save for the future. Why not, you might wonder. Well, one reason is because I was young and stupid. Young and stupid quite often takes first place. Another is this. I watched my father work hard and do without for himself for the first 24 years of my life. His plans were the right plans. Work hard, take care of yourself, save for the future, and after all the kids are finally gone and off your dime, you can have some time to relax and enjoy your life. He didn't make one of the huge mistakes that I made and that I see a lot of other people making still. He didn't buy a house and sell it a bunch of times. He didn't keep upgrading his home. What he did was he bought a house and he kept it. And he did with what he had. No new cars, no fancy stuff all the time. He worked, he supported his family, he took care of the house the best he could. He looked forward to his time in the future, and he banked for it for a long time. Now, when I say he banked for it, I'm not referring to money. He may have saved a bunch of money. I don't know. Money was not discussed in our household, and it is still not discussed today. No one knows. It's not. The truth of it is, it's none of my business. It's none of any of the kids' business. But either way, he stayed on the straight and narrow and did what needed doing, and he did without what he could do without. In all my years of living, I've only ever known our family to have two addresses. One from sometime in the 50s. I don't know when they moved into that house. It was a rental unit. But one from the probably mid-50s up until 1965. And then from 1965 on up until now, today. My mom still lives in that house. She's owned it, they've owned it. He's gone now. He's been gone 25 years. But my mom moved in that house in 65, so she's been living there 60 years. My parents still have the same phone number that they had in 1965. My mom still has the same phone number they had in 1965. We, as a family, all lived in that little house. Our family would be myself, my mother and my father, my brother, my three sisters, and all the pets we collected along the way. We all fit into that little 3-bedroom house, and yeah, it was small, but it was what it was, and we made out just fine. The important part of it is that by not moving, he got the house paid for. He didn't try to impress his friends or listen to the kids complain about not having their own room or try to stroke his ego with a house with big columns. He got what he got, and he got it paid for. So in the future, he would have no house note. And a house note after you retire is difficult. Housing is your number one expense in life. Now, I realize that in the last, ever how long it's been, automobiles, cars have become an incredible expense. You really pretty much can't do without them. They're stupid expensive. They're stupid expensive to repair. They're stupid expensive to insure. You can't fix them yourself unless you're a professional mechanic working at a dealership, because it takes special equipment and it takes special training, and there's more computers in your car now than there probably was on Apollo 1. So automobiles are running a close second for most expensive. That's probably going to be a topic that I'll tackle someday. But anyway, he got the house paid for. He took pretty good care of himself physically. He took care of the house the best he could. He worked for the same company from the early 50s forever. He was never out of a job. He was never between jobs. He was never laid off. None of that. Dude was dedicated and steady as a rock. Then, at age 53, when he was balanced right on the edge of his working years and time to start thinking about what he's going to do in retirement, he was diagnosed with early onset dementia. The company he worked for all those years had no choice but to remove him from his position. He couldn't do the job. The company was in no way disrespectful to him. In fact, quite the opposite. I myself and the entire family, my mom, brother, and the three girls, all still to this day have respect for that company for that. They did not do him dirty. They did him well. All the effort and all the focus and all the doing right for all that time turned out to be a total waste for him. All that time he was working for in the future, when he was looking forward to doing what he was looking forward to doing, which was not have to get up and go to work every day. That's what every man thinks about. Every man looks forward to retirement, to be able to do what I want to do instead of what I've got to do. You may get the impression, or you may be able to tell from this video, that I was affected pretty deeply by that happening to him. Not only was my father terminally ill, but I had seen this guy live and work and plan, and I knew what he was looking forward to, and I knew he was doing right, only to have sand kicked in his face. It was like the ultimate insult to him being who he was. And I ain't gonna lie to you, it hurt me to my soul. You may have heard me say this before, so I apologize if I'm repeating myself, but as a family, which me and my mom and my brother and my 3 sisters, as a family, we had a meeting with my father's neurologist. And he said because he was diagnosed of it so early, there was a 50-50 chance that the children would contract the disease early as well. Now, there was 5 of us. So a 50-50 chance means at least 2 of you is probably going to get it. He was diagnosed at 53, but the diagnosis came after he'd been dismissed from the company. I'm sure the company had been contemplating, maybe for a couple of years, what they were going to do with him. He'd been with them for a long, long time. He'd worked his way up from literally, honest to God, literally sweeping the floors and emptying trash cans at night. He'd worked his way up to an engineer's position. He was a packaging engineer. It was them, the company he worked for, which I'm obviously trying not to say. It was the company that he worked for who suggested that he sought the aid and opinion of a neurologist. And they did so. And I've seen these, and they're really sad to read. He received a bunch of communications. I'll call them letters. It was before email. He received a bunch of inter-office communications. And those inter-office communications, of course, they're all dated. They've all got people's names on them. And those inter-office communications were obviously directed at his job performance, and they were telling him to tighten up. And in the last one that he got, they relieved him of his duties at the company and suggested he seek out neurological help. Now, I cannot fathom the devastation that dude must have felt when he got that final letter. When the company let him go because they had to. They took care of him, including not canceling his health insurance. They took care of him very, very well. They had no choice but to let him go. But that letter must have hit him real hard and real deep. And it must have been just devastating to him to get that. I had never seen the dude sick pretty much through my entire life. I mean, the guy, he was never sick. I mean, you know, when you got a house full of kids, they bring it home from school, right? And everybody in the house gets sick. You get a 24-hour bug or you get a whatever. And of course, just twice I remember that he had like a cold and fever. That's the only time I remember him being sick in the whole time I knew him, other than his diagnosis. But I never saw him sick. As far as I know, the dude never went to a doctor, ever. So at age 24, I faced my father being ill, and I faced the doctor's notification to me, the doctor's statement to me and to us kids, that I had a 50% chance of the same fate my father had. And I decided that I was not going to bust my butt and work hard and plan for the future and do all that. And then, bingo, it's gone. I didn't want to do that. So I decided, because my chances were 50-50 at best of getting it or not getting it, I decided I was going to live and have some fun, and that's what I did. Now, when I say live and had some fun, I always worked, I always supported my family, I always had a job, I did, I had a moral code to live by, and I always lived by that. But I will say that, I did have some fun. My dad lived by the rules of, I'll hold off for now and do that when I retire. I lived more by the rule of, there'll be plenty of time to sleep when I'm dead. I didn't worry about bad habits. I didn't worry about saving money or property or building for the future. I lived for the moment, and I did live. Had some good times. I had a lot of good times. I also had a whole bunch of new cars and new trucks and new motorcycles and new trailers, and I bought 3 or 4 houses in my life. I don't remember now even how many there was. But I'd come up with trailers and motorcycles. Even one time I had a really cool 750cc V-twin lawnmower. That was really good. I took the time to do the things I wanted to do when I wanted to do them, because I figured I'd better, because time was short. I wasn't going to have time in the future. I didn't go to the doctor when I got injuries unless I absolutely had to. I lived by, well, what did people in the 1800s do when they got sick or when they got hurt? They didn't go running to the doctor every time they got a splinter. They fixed it themselves. They toughed it out. They healed through their own devices. My oldest daughter and I got into it several times. Keep in mind, I was a motorcycle race, so getting hurt was common. And my oldest daughter would ask me, what did the doctor say? And I was, well, I didn't go to the doctor. And she'd get all mad at me. And my answer was always the same. I was uninsured. And I knew if my finger or my toe was broken or my ankle was sprained or my back was hurt. I knew. So I would tell her, I'm going to go to the doctor. They're going to charge me money I don't have. They're going to tell me something I already know. They're going to give me instructions I'm not going to follow. And they're going to give me a prescription I'm not going to fill. So what would be the point of going to the doctor? And I lived by that for a long time because it was true. I had been hurt enough, especially on the bikes. I'd been hurt enough to know what was wrong. Now, if something really, well, I didn't do that either. Anyway, and one day I was sitting around watching TV, and it's probably an old Western. I don't remember exactly what the show was. I don't remember. But I was sitting around watching TV, watching a movie, and it was set in the Old West, and I was thinking to myself, yeah, them guys don't run to the doctor every 20 minutes. And we'll go to the doctor every time they get a splinter. And then I started thinking about, because what was going on in the movie, I started thinking about what they did do. And what they did was they died a long, slow, agonizing, horrible death. And suddenly, that was, regardless of how much money it saved me, the thought of that over going to a doctor was not very appealing. So I found a doctor, and I went to the doctor, And the doctor poked me and stuck me and drew blood and looked me over and did all the stuff doctors do. They put me on enough prescriptions. I rattle when I walk. But I'm also still alive. And as unlikely as it seems, there are people who are actually happy that I'm still alive. I want to tell you, passes through my mind as I'm running my mouth, passes through my mind. I was at a crawfish, this was a couple of years ago, 3-4 years ago, something like that. I was at a crawfish boil. One of the guys that worked for me had a crawfish boil, invited me over. Crawfish were real good. All the stuff in the boil was real good. They had a live band. They had a big pond behind their house. It was cool. I enjoyed it. But while I was there, my left foot started hurting. And when I got there, it didn't hurt. But after being there for an hour or so, it started hurting. And by the time I was there for 2.5, 3 hours, it was hurting pretty good. I came home next morning, woke up. My foot was all swollen and nasty looking. So I went to my doctor and showed it to her. And she looked at it and looked at me and said, "All right, Don, she knew I had no insurance." And she said, "Okay, Don, this is the way it's going to be. You got 3 choices. Here's your 3 choices. You can follow my instructions to the T. And I'm talking about do exactly what I say. Don't try to get around. Don't try to say, well, I'll just do this a little bit. Don't do any of that. You can promise me you'll follow my instructions to the letter, and I will send you home and we will get you back over here to fix this." That was my first choice. My second choice was she could admit me to the hospital and they could put me on a drip, antibiotic drip for 30 days. Can you imagine 30 days in a hospital? They could put me on a antibiotic drip for 30 days. Or option number 3, you hear Barney and Ed? I could be your typical stupid man who never goes to a doctor, don't do anything, and within a month or 2 lose my foot and very likely the lower section of my left leg. So I chose the first one. And I did exactly what she said. And she pumped me up with some shots and she sent me home. And I was back at that doctor's office, I'm pretty sure it was every day for at least a couple of weeks. Whereas she would fill me full of shots and do a little cutting, do a little bandaging, do a little draining, do a little whatever. And I still buy my shoes in pairs. I'm still wearing 2 socks. So whatever she did, she did right. And I feel pretty confident to say I made the right choice. I still have both my feet. All right, now, back in the beginning of this video, I said that the topic of the video was going to be the English language and that I wanted to add a word. And I'm going to put the word down here. Hopefully, I have found some pictures throughout this and put them in here. I hope. I don't know. I haven't thought about that yet. The word I want to add, Wishida. 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 Now, in case you're not familiar with what the word Wishida means, I'm going to tell you. And the reason I want to add that word is because I'm really happy that I retired, that I was able to retire, because I can't do 8 or 10 hours of work a day anymore. I get wore out putting my socks on. And so I came up with this word. We're going to use it in a sentence, help you understand it. Wishida. Wishida. Wish I'd have thought more about my future back in the day. Wish I'd have never smoked that first cigarette. Wish I'd have gone to college instead of the motorcycle races. I really wish I'd have kept that hot rod car I had in high school. Wish I'd have gone with a doctor more often. But mostly, the number one wish I'd have. Wish I'd have never heard that doctor say I had a 50% chance of getting early onset dementia. I ain't blaming him. I'm not trying to play the victim here. The responsibility for my actions lay square on my shoulders. And who knows, I may have acted exactly the same had I not heard those words. But I promise you this, hearing those words didn't do me no good at all. Not even a little bit. And just for the record, just so everybody knows, because I'm sure someone will think and ask, there was 5 of us kids. We were given a 50-50 chance of onset dementia. None of us did. And we're all past the age now where you could really call it early onset, you know. I'm almost 67. There's one younger than me. I don't remember how much younger than she is. 2 or 3 years, 3 or 4 years. Let's say she's 64. So, contracting dementia at 64, which she hasn't. No signs at all, period, from any of us. Maybe at 64 it might be considered a little early, but A, she's not there yet. She doesn't have it. And B, it ain't 53. And that was scary to hear. All right, boys and girls. Thank you very much for being here for the video. I really do appreciate it. It's wonderful to see you. It's wonderful to spend this time with you. I really do greatly appreciate you coming here and taking the time to listen to this madness. Thank you. Elmer, it's time for you to do your job, brother, and get us out of here.